Tonight we have a special treat. As always, we have a good friend of mine, Sturge, is here tonight to join us. Of course, we are celebrating Breast Cancer Awareness Month 2024. This young lady, I've known her for quite some time. Matter of fact, the first time we met, I believe, was on the same topic a couple of years ago. So of course she reached out way before October, and definitely agreed to definitely get the word out. So I'm going to give you the honor to tell folks, pretty much your background and what you were diagnosed with and the treatment that you went through and so forth. So, yeah, sounds fair?
Yes, more than fair, fair.
All right, nice. So, Jill Sturge, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to join your platform and for us to have this discussion at the top of the month. As we kick off October.
Yes.
October is widely known as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I am a stage 3 triple negative breast cancer survivor. I am also now the founder of a organization called MAD Cancer Warrior, MAD standing for Motivated and Determined. And so I use my journey basically to just share with folks information about breast cancer, how to do, their own self-examinations. I also talk about the other side, the survivorship side, because most people hear about people ringing the bell, and there's more that goes on after you have rung the bell and completed all your treatments.
Okay, so I want us to start from the beginning, give folks a little background of who you are. I want to kind of get into your life journey before we get into all the heavy stuff. So, where are you from originally?
Originally, I am the child of 2 Caribbean parents that is from Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
I like to say I have a beautiful mix because I have, brothers, sisters, everyone from the islands. I'm blessed to say I'm a Brooklynite. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but raised in Virginia. So, I always say that I'm a Caribbean girl with a New York attitude with a country flair. So I have a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my origins. But I was pretty much raised here in Virginia. I'm blessed to have 2 awesome kids, Lance and Lauren. They've been correcting me. I have 2 awesome young adults.
Okay, awesome. I met your daughter. I don't think I ever met your son before.
You have not. He normally a lot of times behind the scenes. Making sure he was calling me right before this, just like, hey, did you eat?
Yeah, that's nice.
So a lot of times he's, very much behind the scenes, but, he will go with me to, different events. But a lot of people are familiar with my daughter because I've kind of handed her the baton of the carnival stuff. I am a former carnival queen.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Richard's
Carnival. But before Richard's Carnival, I was, Carnival Queen with Bobby Amming and Associates. So I'm an old school Carnival.
Okay. Never knew.
Yeah, Tony Breakaway Productions, Masqueraders, DC Carnival and Baltimore Carnival Queen. So I've been blessed to play mass with all 3 groups, but I definitely lend my hand to Richard's Carnival and Richard. It's ironic that I bring up Richard's because Richard was a part of my breast cancer journey. A lot of people don't know that, don't know the story, how he came to one of my chemo treatments and was teaching the nurses how to whine.
Yeah, that's definitely Richard.
You
That's
know,
definitely Richard.
he's always full of energy. But yeah, so I'm a former carnival queen, and I love my soca. I love carnival, all things carnival. But a lot of people have gotten to know my daughter more because I've kind of handed the baton to her. So this last carnival, she was able to do some modeling for Richards in his costumes and stuff. So it was nice kind of seeing the evolution of this whole love of carnival, because my mom loves carnival, I love carnival, and my daughter loves carnival too. So
nice, lovely. Well, definitely, definitely, we miss you out there. Been a while. I, like I'm not like that, but it's been a while since we have seen you out there masquerading. So anyway, so let's start it. So, what year, or how old were you when you were diagnosed with cancer?
I was originally diagnosed at 43, and technically I was 42 and I turned 43. I was diagnosed in July, and then my birthday is September. By the way, my birthday was last week.
Oh yeah, happy birthday! I'm sorry, where's my manners? My sincerest apologies. Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Thank you, thank you. Not too bad for a 50-year-old.
My sincerest apologies. Totally forgot. So you were 42. So leading up to that event or that situation, did you is it running your family? I mean, were you feeling some kind of way? I don't know if I'm saying the right terms, but did you see any inkling or any signs that hey, something's not right here?
There's no family history of breast cancer.
Yeah.
In our family. I did, once I was diagnosed, I did a lot of genetic testing. I did 128 different testing to see if there were any variances. And there were no outstanding variances that you could see a gene or anything connected. We were preparing for Carnival, and I wasn't feeling like myself. And I had came home after an event at work. At that time, I was an events planner, and
so you say you wasn't feeling like yourself. You're feeling like fatigue, or you
a little fatigue. But I mean, I didn't really pay it any mind, because anybody knows when you're building large carnival pieces, work a lot. You're gemming, you're glue sticks everywhere, you're burning up your fingers, feathers everywhere, so you're not thinking, something's going on. But what happened was I came home, I took off my bra, and I had attended a breast cancer awareness event before, and they had always said, to do your own little self-examinations. And I took my hand on my outer right, and I felt these lumps. So I was like, okay, maybe it's from the bra. So I asked my
So you have to pardon me here for a minute, because I'm going to ask some questions. Obviously, I'm a male, so there's certain things I mightn't fully understand. I need some clarity on. So you said you were doing a self-examination. So that bump you felt, I guess the question I'm asking is, on your daily routine, taking care of yourself, wouldn't you didn't notice like something like small and it grew after a while, or it's just like a sudden, like
honestly,
a sudden feeling? Like,
I'll be honest, I didn't feel anything until that night.
that night, okay.
I, was always one to, a lot of women, when they come home, they take off their bra and they're like, oh, I'm so glad to be home. And it was kind of one of those things. And I just, went a little deeper. And because the lumps were in my outer band, see, if it was like up here, I might have caught it naturally, but it was in my outer band. So when I took my hand and I went kind of in this area, I was like, what's that? And then I went up a little bit higher. So what is that? And, I asked my mom to come over and asked her to feel it, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't my imagination. And she was like, no, I feel it. I feel it. And,
so the lump,
but even then she still didn't even, my mom was like, a lot of times as women, you might be just like a little cyst, but still call your doctor to
Yeah.
schedule an appointment.
So how big was this lump? Was it like a marble size, like a penny? Like, what would you say?
Say like a marble, but it was two of them. But it
Oh,
was
two.
two.
Okay. Two. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was two of them. But I went to bed with two, but when I woke up, I had three.
Wow. So this was rapidly happening. Wow.
Triple negative is one of the most aggressive forms of breast cancer, and it spreads to other parts of your body. And so by the time I had did all the biopsies and testings and everything, it had already spread to my right side of my lymph nodes.
Wow. Okay, so you felt the lumps. You woke up the next day. You felt three at this point. So I'm guessing at this point you called a doctor. And how long before you were seen? I mean, at this point I was thinking there would
I was
be
seen,
some sort of
I was seen
emergency.
immediately. I
Yeah.
was seen immediately. The next day, they were able to have me come in. And the crazy part is, like I said, I was playing mass. I had queen costume to display, and I, went to the doctor. We did, the examination. The doctor talked to me. She said, I explained to her, what I was involved in, and she said,
Yeah.
"Listen, don't worry. Go play your mass. Go have a good time. And I'll call you on Monday to give
Okay.
you the results." And so I'm a person, I love playing
So wait,
math.
this was kind of a weekend.
Yeah, it was carnival
Oh
weekend.
shoot. Yeah, I
And
just realized that.
I went to Richard and,
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him and he had said to me he was familiar. He used to work like in a cancer center or he did some work in a cancer center before. And,
Yeah.
so he kind of advised me a little bit, but he was like, we're still going to do our thing. We're still going to play our mask. We're still going to enjoy ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I'm the type of person I love to, play my mask. I love to carry my mask from the beginning of the route to the end. I'm talking about to the end where everybody's hanging out, linemen, all that.
Yeah.
And that was the first year I sat down after the judging station and I said to myself, something's not right. I've
Mm-hmm.
never, ever, I've played math in Brooklyn. I've
Mm-hmm.
played math in Miami. DC, and I've never put down my queen costume. No
Yeah.
one ever had to push my costume, put it on their back, but that year I had to sit down.
Mm-hmm. Fatigue.
And I said, yeah. I said, oh my. But, still I had hope, but it wasn't the same. And right there and then I think in my heart to heart, I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah. 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 So take me through or take us through at that point. Obviously, you got the results from the doctor, and what was that moment like for you?
Surreal because I just couldn't understand how, why. It didn't make any sense. There was no family history. I was relatively a healthy person.
Yeah.
No high blood pressure, no cholesterol, no diabetes. As women, we always could stand to lose some weight. I was relatively healthy. So it really just didn't make any sense to me. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Um, and initially all I could think about was my kids, what's gonna happen. Lauren was, I think she was just entering middle school. I think she
Yeah.
was just in middle school. And, my son was in I think his first year in college. And so, it impacted them. My son worried a lot to where it impacted his grades. My daughter, on the other hand, was more like she wanted to help. She wanted to be a part of the process. She wanted to kind of just get more information. So
Yeah.
she went to a lot of the doctor's appointments,
Okay.
whereas then my son made sure, when I was home, he made it comfortable for me. But for him as a young man, he didn't want to go to the treatment sessions because he said he never wanted to have that vision. He wanted to always keep that vision of me being vibrant and fun and think he didn't want to see me doped up with wires and tubes and looking lethargic. That's not what he wanted. And that was tough for me. It was tough for me to kind of swallow at the beginning.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm sitting here just trying to imagine, what the whole situation felt like for you. So at that point, what options were presented to you from the medical staff?
From the medical staff, because of triple negative being such an aggressive form, I was basically told that that I had to have surgery. I could either have a mastectomy, which is a removal of the breast, or I could have a lumpectomy. The lumpectomy is just a removal of the tissue of the tumor, the mass itself. I could have done either one of them. The mastectomy lessens the opportunity of the cancer returning.
Coming back, yeah.
So doesn't mean that it can't come back, but it lessens the percentage of it being able to come back within the first 5 years. So I also had to do chemotherapy and radiation.
Right. Let me see. So you did 21 rounds of chemo and 25 rounds of radiation?
Yeah. Right. Chemotherapy it does what it's supposed to do, but it's a beast. Because I was still working, because at the end of the day, I'm a single mom, and I was still working, and so on Saturdays I would do my chemo treatments, and my mom would go up with me to we were allowed to have 2 guests. And I always tell people I was a horrible patient because I never followed the rules. There was always friends and, people coming up, wanting to come up. And so sometimes we would have to rotate people in, because my mom was a constant. I think my mom maybe missed 2 appointments. And, my mom is a praying, Caribbean Trini woman, and her faith is so strong. And so she would be there. She would have her Bible. We would be listening to, a live feed from Trinidad, whatever, her whack station. And, we would be listening to, whack and, watching TV. The chemo sessions can be anywhere from 3 hours to 5 hours, depending on your
severity,
or how it responded, how your body responded. So it wasn't a quick you're in and you're out. No, you're sitting there, a lot of prep work. And because I did not have anyone to be able to drive me home, I had to drive myself home.
What?
So we had to include so we had to
and
my mom doesn't drive.
What is the place in Virginia, or you were in the DC area for the chemo?
No, it was in Virginia. It was in Fairfax.
Virginia, okay.
Yep, it was in Fairfax, and I live in Fredericksburg, which is Central Virginia. So it was in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, behind God back. Well, go ahead.
Go back, but I'm grateful that I was in Fredericksburg, because my parents were in Fredericksburg, and I don't know what I would have done, because they were so instrumental in helping me out with the kids. And it's a lot of financial burden when you're going through it, because you're going to appointments. It's gas, it's tolls, it's different expenses. So I was very grateful that my parents were able to support me during that time. And I'm going back and forth to these appointments, and like I said, I had to add in an extra hour because they would allow me to sleep and then I could leave. But they always, they had to make sure that I was good to go before I can get on that road. So that's what kind of extended my chemo time there. So
Yeah. So your average time was what, about 3 hours, give or take? You would say
3 to 4,
3 4 hours.
3 to 4. Because see, you have a port. So my
Okay.
port was entered in my chest, and so they connect the cords to your port to do the infusion of the chemo. And there were
Yeah.
times where my port would just wouldn't respond. It couldn't do right. I dealt with a lot of nausea.
Mm.
Uh, so and there's a lot of a lot of stuff that they're giving you
Yeah.
during the treatment. So I was getting steroids. There was a lot of different things that were being pumped into my system during the chemo sessions. So they had to make sure that I was good to go. They couldn't just send me on the road. Really, probably technically, they're not supposed to. I don't even think
Yeah.
they're supposed to really technically send me driving, but I didn't have any choice. I didn't
Not a
have
choice.
anybody
Yeah.
that can pick me up and take me back to Fredericksburg.
What was your diet like around that time?
It was very restricted. No
Mm.
processed food, no raw meat,
Mm.
no sweets, and that was kind of mainly it.
Yeah.
For me, you know, one of the debates in today's world when you talk to a lot of people who are battling cancer, some people don't want to do the chemo, the radiation, so
Yeah.
they want to go the holistic way,
Yes.
which is, using natural herbs and
Hmm.
different things. Um, for me, there was no way I was going to fight this battle and my Trini mom sitting there and not
Yeah.
do some holistic things. So yeah, I did both. I
Yeah,
did
that's
both.
good.
I did not inform, I'll be honest, I did not inform the medical staff
Yeah.
that I was doing the
Yeah.
holistic things because, there some people would say it's very taboo
Yeah.
with some of the
Yeah.
doctors. They don't like that. And so I just said, you know what? They don't need to know that side of it. I'm still doing everything that they want me to do,
Yeah.
but I'm going to do this on top of what I'm doing with them. So
What's some of the herbal remedies you took back then?
I drank a lot of soursop tea,
Okay.
soursop plant, turmeric,
Mm.
aloe, Morbi. Morbi was a staple. Morbi was the
Uh,
only thing I could really. Morbi was the only thing I could drink
really?
that that gave me kind of like this pleasure.
Yeah.
Everything else to me tasted funny, and the bitter the better.
Yeah.
So
But
we
I
had
think
this.
I heard that before. I think I heard that before. I don't want to say where I heard it from because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty high percent certain I've heard that before with cancer patients, especially that from the Caribbean drink a lot of Morbi around that time. But
Mhm.
you said that worked well for you.
Yep, it worked well, very well. Every week
Yeah.
I went back there. They kept saying, "Oh, your numbers look great. What are you
Yeah.
doing?" I said,
Yeah.
I'm coming here. But I never told them that I was doing the holistic stuff. And,
Yeah.
to this day, people ask me, are you on medication? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's some things that I still practice and I still, Morbi.
Yeah.
I still drink my Morbi. I still have my soursop tea. Turmeric can get a little messy. So,
Yeah.
and I was never crazy about the whole turmeric, but I did change some things. Like I like to use all natural deodorant.
Okay.
Um,
A particular brand?
there was
You have a particular brand that you like?
there, there was there's a
Cause you know some of
organization
them all
called
natural
Melanie.
stuff be kind of shaky, man.
Yeah,
Mm.
there was one that I had got from a company called Melaleuca, and
Okay.
they have all natural deodorants
Yeah.
that I started using. But I just started really transitioning a lot of different things. My
Is it?
makeup.
If I may piggyback a little bit on the deodorant, is that one of the reasons you went all natural, or I should say natural with deodorant, is because of the aluminum in the conventional deodorants that you're trying to stay away from?
Yeah, for me, like I said, there was no family history. So I started to ask myself, is it the things that I'm consuming? Is it the things that I'm putting on my body?
Yeah.
So I wanted to just kind of make a change to just, you know, try to just figure out, what I can do different to make sure that this thing doesn't ever come back.
Mm-hmm. Well, so let's talk about the chemo again. So usually people that have or get chemo lose all their hair. Did the same thing happen to you as well?
Yes, I did. I lost all my hair from all over my body,
Wow.
from top of my hair, and I had beautiful long hair that went down my back to going bald. I lost my eyelashes, underarm, on my legs. I lost all my hair, but a lot of people associate chemo and the hair, but chemo was, hard on me. It made my tongue black.
Wow.
It made my tongue black with white spots. It made my hands black. It made my feet dark. It made my nails black. I'm a woman who likes to wear, I was going to the shop every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks to get my nails done. And they were like, no, you can't do that. You cannot have acrylic on your nails. So, because they need to be able to see, the chemo through your hands, through your nail bed. And so, yeah, so, my feet, I lost my toenails.
Wow.
My toenails fell off. Yeah, so it was tough. And I was a single woman. Initially, when I got the diagnosis, I was engaged. And I ended that engagement. And so
Why?
I was a single woman. So
I'm getting personal here. Why you felt the need to end the relationship, or was it a situation where the other person they didn't know how to handle the situation?
I think it was both. It was, I would say
there's no such thing as both, but go ahead.
well, why I say both is because this was tough on him, because this was not something. He met me vibrant and fun and going out and partying and doing this and doing that, and I had to change because I wanted to live. With that said, one of the things the doctor had said to me was that, stress impacts how the chemo responds in your body. So you have to eliminate stress. And so the relationship started to become very stressful.
Yeah.
Because he wants to go to the Commanders game. I can't go to the Commanders game because I can't be around a whole bunch of people because they can get me sick.
Yeah.
Because my immune system is low.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because of the treatments that I'm doing. So, it started to cause a friction. And so I had to just say, hey, this is not going to work. I wish you the best, and he moved on and so forth. But I'm still a single woman at this point. And I'm going through these treatments, and these treatments are impacting my appearance. And so, of course, now it's starting to mess with your psyche, because now you're like, am I pretty enough? Am I going to be able to attract another person in my life? And so that's when the mindset kicks in, and you have to really have to be as strong as you can. And there are days, that were tougher than others, but I was just very determined to be strong and to use my journey as a way to share with others. And initially, I was kind of quiet about it, because I was still learning everything that was being thrown my way. But once I kind of felt like I know what this thing is about and I know what I have to do, I started to share more and more about my journey.
I wanted to kind of touch base the difference between the radiation and chemo. It's two separate things. Am I correct? Or is it pretty much the same
That
thing?
is,
It
yes.
is two separate things. So what's the difference between radiation therapy and chemo.
The chemo goes through the port. That is where the chemo is infused through tubes into the port, which hits the blood, which hits the body, right?
Yeah.
The radiation is exactly what it is. You're laying on a table and they are beaming your body with radiation to basically burn the tumor. It's kind of, and everyone's order is different. And that's one of the things
Yeah.
I always tell people when you talk to different people who are going through breast cancer or cancer, there's not 1, 2 journeys that are the same. And so some people do surgery first and then they do chemo and radiation. Some people only do chemo and surgery. In my case, I had to do all three.
Yeah.
So the radiation was something that I did Monday through Friday, every day, every day. And I worked. I still worked.
Yeah.
So I would go into work from 9 to 2, and then
I
I
mean,
would drive from.
you wear a wig and stuff, I'm assuming. But you can wear makeup,
Mhm.
so you just put a wig on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was still glamour girl. Like I said, I found all natural stuff,
Not just okay,
or
okay.
I very very minimal. I didn't have any eyebrows, so I drew
Yeah.
it on. I met a really nice lady in a radiation session, and she
Okay.
said, "Don't ever stop being you. Don't let cancer change you. You
Mm.
just have to get creative on
Yeah.
how you do things." So she introduced me to press on nails. She
Okay.
said you can't wear the acrylic, but you can wear the press on,
Yeah.
and you always make sure that you have one finger exposed. So I would have my nails like this and
Okay.
one finger exposed so that they
You
can
still do it.
see.
Yeah.
I still do it. But one nail exposed so that they can see, make sure I'm okay. But yeah, I had to get creative so that I could
Mm.
still be myself. But the radiation was Monday through Friday, and I worked from 9 to 2. And then I would drive from DC to Arlington Hospital Center
Yeah.
in Arlington. And my treatments was from 3 to 3:30. But the process of getting there, walking, and then where they had the radiation location, you have to walk through the chemo, which for me was a hard because it was just like a flashback.
Yeah.
And I, would do the radiation treatments, get dressed, normally sit in my car for about 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and then I would go home and do it all over again. And I did that for 5 weeks.
Wow, that's tough. All right. So I wanna talk about the surgery. I don't want to mess the word up. A mass,
Mastectomy.
a mastectomy, mastectomy, mastectomy,
Mastectomy.
okay,
Mastectomy.
mastectomy. What was that experience like for you?
Wow. That was tough because most women, do we do things that we love the most? Our breasts and our hair was being taken from me.
Yeah.
And so I felt like a part of my womanhood was being taken from me. And, the thing about it is, I went through my journey during COVID.
Wow.
So the first surgery, I was blessed to have my mother and my aunt there.
Yeah.
But the other reconstruction surgeries, I was there by myself. My father, he was a blessing. He drove me to the hospital, but he could only go to a certain point. So I'm going to these surgeries by myself, and it was probably one of the loneliest things because of COVID,
Yeah.
the hospital has to protect themselves. I have to protect myself as well. And so you're walking in with a mask and you're going to your surgery floor, you're filling out documents as you're getting ready to be wheeled into these spaces. And my body is not one that responds well to the anesthesia. So there were times where it took me a long time to come out of the anesthesia. And, I know that there were a couple of times that I scared my siblings and my parents because it took in their eyes too long for me to get up.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was that was tough, but you know, removing my breast was something that I just knew that I had to do. I had to they offered me to be able to get reconstruction, which was a breast implant.
Yeah.
I had to wait for a little bit to be able to do that. And then I got the breast implant.
Okay.
And something went wrong. We don't know to this day. And my chest had turned black and blue, and the skin started to fall off from the breast. And you were able to see like a hole the size of a quarter. And you were able to see the actual implant.
Wow.
And I had to be rushed to the hospital, and the surgeon said he had never seen anything like that before. And he basically said, you would probably never be able to have an implant in that breast again. And we're going to have to remove it. And he was like, how do you feel? I said, I want to live. So I sit here today as a woman who has only one breast.
Wow. I never knew that. I didn't know what to say, but yeah, I never knew that part. Wow. I've did a lot of interviews in my time. I think, and this is not the first time I had this conversation, obviously, but yeah, I'm really lost for words when you mentioned that last statement there. That's listen, man. At the end of the day, at least you're here with us.
That's all that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, I'm laying on this bed, and I'm saying I'm crying because I'm like, I did everything. I don't come around and say I was a bad patient because I showed up late sometimes to chemotherapy, and I had too many people in my room. But far as instructions on the care, the appointments, I did everything by the book. And so it didn't make sense to me. Why did I get breast cancer? Why is it now that this implant has gone bad? Why is this happening to me? And I kept saying, God, I don't know why this is happening to me, but I know that my message has to be greater. And so at the end of the day, it was about being here for my kids. Everyone knows that, that some people call me super mom, but I just love my kids so much. And I love my parents and, my siblings. And so I knew for them, I had to pull through. And there was no other option. And so I was like, take it.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So obviously everything worked out in your favor.
Yes.
And congratulations. You also started your own nonprofit organization. So tell us a little bit about that.
Super excited. I just started my new organization, my new company. It's called Mad Cancer Warrior. And it is a company that I started because I wanted to be able to take my journey and be able to share it with other people as they're not only as they're going through the battle, but as they are coming to the end, far as they've completed all their treatments. Because what happens, Alonzo, is you ring the bell, everybody's excited, and then it's like, what's next?
So all right, let's go back to the bell ringing. So you ring the bell, stating that you're free, you're cancer free. Am I correct? That's the purpose of ringing the bell?
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what it's kind of a signature of I've completed all my treatments.
Okay.
I'm done. But you're not really done.
You're not really done.
That's because you still have to go to appointments. You still have to follow up. You still you still have to be very protective because your immune system, you have to build it back up. You have to build it back up. And so for me, that's what it's been about, building my health back up. And so, with my organization, my goal is to be able to give vital information to those who are going through the battle. And even after that, sharing different resources that are out there. I'm looking to have events, where survivors and caretakers and those who family members may have lost the battle, where we can come together and connect and network, and I'm really looking to do this even beyond the DMV because, breast cancer is impacting the Caribbean just as hard as it is here in America. Breast cancer is one of the highest cancers in the Caribbean islands because it's being misdiagnosed and the people not going to get their mammograms, people not doing the self-examinations. So by the time that they are realizing that they have breast cancer, it's harder for the treatments and stuff to really kick in and work and do what it's supposed to do. So, I'm really looking forward to taking my organization, taking it on the road and, and one things that I look forward to us doing is participating in this year's Breast Cancer Awareness Walk, which is on October 26th. And anyone can join us, and I will definitely share the links with your viewers on your page, and it's also on my page. But anyone could join in the walk. Kids, anyone. It's a great day to bond and network and to just show solidarity with those who've been impacted by breast cancer. And some people are able to do the walk, and some people come down and they just serve the community. There's so many tents and people giving out water and snacks so that people have energy to do the walk. So it's a great event.
The walk is in DC, right?
Yes, it is. It's at the Tidal Basin. This walk is with the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer with the American Cancer Society. And so it's ironic because I did this walk as initially to support other breast cancer patients, and then now I'm walking on my own behalf. And so it's a beautiful walk. It's around the cherry blossom, the Tidal Basin. So they always stop at the Martin Luther King statue and we take pictures, and you got cheerleaders out there cheering us on, go-go bands out there, they singing and walking, and it's a lot of fun. And so there are a lot of different groups that participate in it, and I just tell people that this is a fundraiser, so you can donate as well to the group, but you can also come out there and walk. You can do both, and we have a good time.
Either way, come out and support. So I'll make sure I add that link to the live or to the video once you finish.
Yes.
If someone has just found out that they've been diagnosed, or someone that is currently in treatment, what advice would you give them?
The first advice I would tell them is to make sure they get a second opinion. Get a second opinion and ask questions. I think a lot of times, all of us in different things, we get the doctors tell us stuff and we just leave it at that. We don't ask qualifying questions. If they said that you're diagnosed with breast cancer, ask what stage, what form. That's very important because your treatment is really dependent upon what your diagnosis is.
Mm-hmm.
Be the biggest advocate for your life. Ask questions. Get second opinions. Find out what are your options. Don't just settle for what the doctor just tell you. Deep dive. When I first was diagnosed, you would have thought I was nutty professor because I was walking around with a folder and it had all kinds of paperwork. And I asked about, do y'all have classes? They said, yes, we have classes. And I went to the classes to learn about my diagnosis.
Yeah.
We go on the internet to find out about what this entertainer is doing, what that entertainer, why not go in there and really do a deep dive and what you find out about what you're being diagnosed is very important that you are a big advocate. And I would just also say protect your ear gates and your eye gates during that process. You need to have people around you that are positive.
Yes.
Positive. You need to lessen the stress. Like I said, stress plays a very big part on how your treatment responds to you. And be transparent about how you feel.
Yeah.
It's okay to be sad. It's okay to not even want to talk. And it's okay if you want to share too. I think sometimes people are like, oh my God, you're talking too much. You're telling too much of your business. You know what? If that's what makes you feel good, then do it. Because it's about your journey and it's about your process. What worked for me may not work for someone else. You have to figure out your formula, but just always be authentic to your feelings and to yourself. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk.
Yeah.
But make sure that the people that are around you are supportive and they're truly listening to how you feel and what you need. My daughter, she was laughter. We go into the plastic surgery office. She's in there playing with the implant, and she's telling the doctor, "I'm team new titties," and I was like, "This is a serious appointment." But she brought the laughter. She was like, "Mommy, this is already so heavy, so like serious. We have to like bring some laughter to this, And my mom was the prayer warrior. She was in the corner praying. My sister, I would stop at her house and she would have a good Caribbean meal for me. My other sister, she would call me. My sister Penny, that a lot of people know, she would call me and she'll be, "Hey Jill, how you feeling? You all right?" You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you just want to know that people care.
Yeah. Generally care.
My co-workers, they were kind and set up a GoFundMe to help with some of the medical expenses. And my girlfriend Donna, she was holding my hand from the beginning, my very first appointment with chemo, and she still holds my hand. She went with me to my last radiation treatment. My dad was the one, who was, running around and picking up stuff for me when I, didn't have the energy. So you just have to form your team. Yeah. And I know that I was blessed. Everyone doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Everyone
So true.
truly doesn't have that.
So true.
But there's organizations like, American Cancer Society, Living Beyond Breast Cancer. These organizations can point you to the resources if they don't have the resources to be able to help you with transportation. And if you're struggling during your battle, I know, for example, Living Beyond Breast Cancer, they have like a hotline where you can call in if you're struggling and you need someone to kind of like talk to. So there are different things. And Facebook, right here on Facebook, there are a lot of survivor groups.
Yeah.
There are a lot of groups, as they're going through with support groups. That's what I did. Yeah. I had to find my tribe, because talking to my friends, they never been through this.
Yeah, they can't relate.
And so it was kind of like, when I'm talking about chemo, they're looking at me like, they couldn't necessarily relate. They supported me, but they couldn't necessarily relate to what I was going through. So, you have to kind of, like I said, be your biggest advocate and really go out there and create your team that's going to support you through this journey.
Wow. Well, Jill, Sturge, I really appreciate you taking time out to share your story. I'm happy that everything worked out in your favor. Hopefully someone hears your story and it helps them in any way possible. Thanks for being so transparent. Yeah, that was very insightful, to say the least.
Thank you.
They're welcome. Definitely looking forward to October 26th, breast cancer awareness walk, and we definitely will add the link. You know, I'm going to bug you, so to make sure I have the link.
No, I will definitely get you the link tonight. I thought about that before.
But
One of the things that I would just tell everyone, early detection is key in fighting this.
yeah,
You want to make sure that you're scheduling your annual mammogram. When I was diagnosed, did not qualify for a mammogram, but the laws have changed. You can get a mammogram as early as 40 now. When I was diagnosed, it was 45. And then, I was speaking to someone else and they were saying it really all depends on your insurance company.
Yeah.
So, your insurance plan. So, you can get a mammogram. So schedule those mammograms, those yearly annual mammograms. I know I hear a lot of people talk about, I don't want the pain and the listen, it's a slight pinch, but I'm gonna tell you, that slight pinch is worth it because breast cancer is harder. And so it's better to be informed and to be educated than to sit there and then have to go through what I went through. And so I really want your listeners to understand that, it's important that you do your own self-examination. Take your hands and run it in that breast area. Run it in that breast area. And it's for men too.
I just want to ask you that. That was the question I was going to ask. Do men, I hate to sound ignorant and, uneducated about the topic, but what the percentage of men that get breast cancer? Do you know offhand?
I'm not sure what the percentage is now, but it's much less than women.
Yeah.
1 in 8 women are going to be diagnosed in the state of Virginia with breast cancer.
Okay.
40% of those women, or African American women, are going to be diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. Triple negative is one of the highly dosed breast cancers for African American women. But for men, that percentage is less. But men are diagnosed with breast cancer. I actually sat right beside a brother who had dreadlocks, and there's a process that's called the cold cap, where you could it looks like a football helmet, and you could put it over your head to be able to preserve your hair locks, so you don't lose your hair during chemo. And I would look at that brother, and I would, always smile, and because I had visitors, but a lot of people didn't have visitors. So, when I would walk by to maybe go to the bathroom or, I would look in and I would just always smile, because I always said, I hope my encouraged someone who was sitting there. It was old, it was young. I met a young lady who was diagnosed at 20. Yes. And so this thing is impacting, and people are watching news. A young man recently, a couple of days ago, lost his mother to breast cancer, and now he's responsible for 5 siblings. And this young man is in college playing football, and now he's responsible for his 5 siblings. He just lost his mother to breast cancer. We last saw the young lady from 90210, Shannon Doherty, to breast cancer. We lost Suzette Summers to breast cancer. Breast cancer is still impacting. Every day someone is diagnosed. So important that, you do your self-examinations. Think you feel something, it's okay. Call up your doctor, schedule an appointment to, let them know, and they can keep you, regular routine of, checking in with them to just let them know how you're feeling. Jess, I know that we were closing, but I just want to also mention, look at the breast, not only for lumps, but look for women, look for rippling near your areola. Look for any discharge, any dimpling in the breast. These are normally telltale signs that something is going on with your breast. So it's not only lumps. It's, rippling, dimplings, discharge, especially near the areola area of your breast. I want to make sure that the viewers are educated and they, we wear the pink, we rock the pink. My Commanders honored me. I'm a big football fan and they honored me last year. Yeah. And I had the opportunity to walk across the field halftime during the football game as I walked out with fellow breast cancer survivors, and it was a beautiful ceremony. So we rock the pink. We got major organizations that back us, but be your own champion and do what you need to do. Be more aware with your body, schedule your mammograms, and do your self-examination.
Well, Jill, well said. Really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your story. And make sure to send me a link. And once again, October the 26th, Breast Cancer Awareness Walk. We will put the link up there so folks could register. And of course, it's a fundraising event. So walk with a little ching ching, or I guess now modern technology you could do,
you know what? Don't bring any cash. We have a link. With the link, you can go right on there. Yeah. And you can register. And I would tell people, health is wealth. Make sure, watch the things that you're eating. Make sure you're cleansing your body. I have a health and wellness business. Make sure that you're cleansing your body so that you can get the toxins out of your body. We just have to be an advocate of our health. Yeah. It's even bigger than breast cancer. We consume a lot of things and we don't know what's on those things, where they came from, what's in it, what's being injected in it. So, we need to make sure that we're cleansing our body, getting rid of the toxins, and, and just being more proactive versus reactive.
Yes, ma'am. Folks, Jill Sturge, thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.